The DNA test results came back on my daughter's 4th birthday, 0% probability of paternity, and my wife handed me an envelope with a single word written on it, finally. I'm standing in my living room, pink balloons, 25 people singing happy birthday. Emma's wearing her princess dress, the purple one with the sparkles she picked out 3 weeks ago. The cake has 4 candles shaped like butterflies. My hands are shaking because the mail came 20 minutes before the guests arrived, and I made the mistake of opening it. The lab report is 3 pages, clean white paper with the company logo at the top, bar graphs, percentages, numbers that don't lie. And there, highlighted in yellow, someone at the lab must have thought they were being helpful. The conclusion, probability of paternity between alleged father Marcus Preston and child Emma Rose Preston, 0.0%, 0.00%. But I already knew what was in that envelope before I opened it. I'd known for months, maybe longer. You know how they say your gut tells you things? Mine had been screaming. I fold the pages carefully, once, then again. The paper feels expensive, heavier than normal, the kind you'd use for wedding invitations or thank you notes. My wife Natalie is across the room cutting the cake, and she's smiling at me. Not the smile I fell in love with 7 years ago. Something else, something that looks like relief. And that's when Emma, my 4-year-old, walks over with the card she made me, the one that says best daddy ever. She used construction paper, purple. She says it's my favorite color. The glitter glue is still sticky in spots. I can see her small fingerprints pressed into it where she held the paper too tightly while the glue dried. She drew us holding hands, stick figures. I'm the tall one. She's small with a yellow circle for a head and straight lines for hair. Do you like it, Daddy? I crouch down, eye level. Her face is so serious. 4 years old, and she already knows when something matters. I love it, sweetheart. It's perfect. She throws her arms around my neck. She smells like cake frosting and baby shampoo. Behind her, across the room, Natalie is watching us. She's holding that pink envelope now. Her envelope, not mine, and she's waiting. The party ends around 4. The last guests shuffle out with their goodie bags and their tired children. Emma is passed out on the couch with frosting in her hair. Natalie's mother takes her upstairs to bed. The house is finally quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the sound of my pulse in my ears. I find Natalie in the kitchen. She's wrapping leftover cake in plastic wrap, methodical, precise, like she's preparing for something. We need to talk. She doesn't look up. I know. The bathroom, now. We walk down the hall past the photos on the wall. Our wedding, Emma as a newborn, family portraits from last Christmas. Every frame is a lie, and I'm just now seeing it. I close the bathroom door. It's a small space, porcelain sink, mirror with toothpaste spots. The window is open a crack, and I can hear children playing outside, someone's sprinkler going. Normal suburban sounds, life happening like nothing's wrong. I hold up the lab report. 0%, Natalie, 0. She leans against the sink, arms crossed. She's wearing the necklace I bought her for our anniversary. I know. That's it? You know? Marcus, how long have you known? She reaches into her pocket and pulls out her own envelope, the pink one. She sets it on the counter between us. I can see my name written on it in her handwriting. Underneath, that word, finally. 6 weeks, she says. I've known for 6 weeks. My brain is trying to process this. You knew. You've known for 6 weeks, and you waited until her birthday party. I didn't wait for her birthday. The timing just... You handed me an envelope that says finally, like this is some kind of victory. She actually laughs. It's not a happy sound. It's sharp, cutting. Victory? Marcus, you think this is a victory for me? Then what is it? It's over. That's what it is. Finally. I'm staring at her and I don't recognize her. 7 years of marriage, 8 years of knowing each other, and I'm looking at a stranger. Whose is she? Natalie picks at her thumbnail. Won't meet my eyes. Does it matter? Does it? I have to stop, breathe. My hands are shaking again. Yes, Natalie, it matters. Whose child have I been raising for 4 years? You're still her father, she says, fast, like she's been practicing this. Legally, you signed the birth certificate. You're still responsible. And that's when she says it. The thing I'll hear in my head for the next 18 months. She looks right at me and she says, you don't get to choose when it's real. If you've ever had your world flip upside down in a single second, you know the feeling. Everything you thought was solid just liquefies. I'm standing there in my bathroom with toothpaste on the mirror and my wife telling me that biology doesn't matter, that I'm trapped, that I signed papers 4 years ago, and now I'm legally obligated to raise another man's child. She actually laughed and said, you really thought you'd just walk away? I need to think, I need to understand how this happened. So I go back. Not physically, I'm sitting in my car now, in the driveway because I can't be in that house, but in my head. I go back 4 years. 4 years earlier, I was coming home from a 3-month deployment, Army Reserves. I did 2 rotations, nothing glamorous, mostly logistics and supply chain management in Germany. Natalie said she was pregnant when I got back. 8 weeks, she said, due in February. I remember thinking it was tight. The math was tight. But I was so happy I didn't ask questions. We've been trying for 2 years. Fertility doctors, disappointing tests, negative pregnancy sticks in the trash. And then finally, she was pregnant. Emma was born February 14th, Valentine's Day, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. She had my eyes, everyone said, my nose. Funny how people see what they want to see. I kept all the documents. I'm good with documents. Comes from the military training, the attention to detail. I have Emma's hospital bracelet in a box in my closet. White plastic with her tiny footprints. Baby girl, Preston, born 2:37 a.m. I pull out my phone. I start doing math. Real math, not hopeful math. I left for Germany October 3rd. I came back January 8th. 3 months, 14 weeks. Emma was born February 14th. That's 5 weeks after I got home. Natalie said she was 8 weeks pregnant when I came back. 8 weeks. That puts conception at November 8th. I was in Germany on November 8th. I scroll through our old text messages. I can see them now, the gaps, the inconsistencies. She went to 3 conferences while I was deployed. Chicago, Atlanta, Phoenix. I thought she was advancing her career. She works in pharmaceutical sales. Travel is normal, expected. I log into our credit card account, the one we share. I start scrolling through the charges from that November. Hotel, Marriott, Chicago, November 7th through November 9th, 2 nights, room service for 2. The timeline didn't add up. It never had. I dig deeper. There are more charges, different hotels, same pattern. Always 2 people worth of room service. Always the expensive rooms. I'm seeing bar charges at midnight, breakfast charges for 2, spa appointments I was never told about. November through January, 47 hotel stays. I count them, 47, all at different Marriotts. And one detail that makes my stomach turn, room 614. When the hotel allowed room preferences, she requested 614 every single time. I remember thinking she was 3 months pregnant when I came back from deployment. 3 months. That means she got pregnant in October. I left October 3rd. The math doesn't work. The math never worked. I just didn't want to see it. I sit in that driveway until the sun comes up. I watch the light change the color of my house, from dark blue to gray to pale yellow. Inside, Emma is sleeping. Natalie is probably sleeping too. And I'm out here with a box full of receipts and a phone full of text messages that I can't unread. You know that sound paper makes when you fold it carefully versus when you crumple it in rage? I'm learning the difference. 2 days later, I'm sitting across from an attorney. Her name is Rebecca Stone. Family law specialist. 15 years experience according to the website. Her office smells like coffee and furniture polish. There are diplomas on the wall, photos of her with judges, community leaders, people shaking hands. I brought everything, the DNA tests, the receipts, the timeline chart I made. I spread it all across her desk like I'm presenting evidence at a trial, which I suppose I am. Rebecca is in her 50s. Gray hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain. She looks at my documents for a long time, doesn't say anything, just reads. Finally, she takes off her glasses. Mr. Preston, Marcus, I need to be honest with you about what you're facing here. Okay. In this state, you signed the birth certificate. You were married to the mother at the time of birth. That makes you the presumed father. But I'm not the father. The DNA test... I understand, but legally, that's a separate issue. She opens a folder and pulls out a printout. State statute. Legal precedent. Cases with names like Williams v. Williams and Patterson v. State. There's something called the presumed father doctrine, she says. When a married man signs a birth certificate, the law presumes he's the father, even if biology says otherwise. Have you ever been told the truth doesn't matter? That the system protects the wrong person? I'm staring at her. That can't be right. It's the law. The courts prioritize the child's stability and the established relationship over biological facts, especially after a certain amount of time has passed. So what you're saying is, Rebecca looks at me and says, in this state you signed the birth certificate. Biology doesn't matter. The words hang in the air like smoke. I can't breathe properly. The office feels smaller than it did 5 minutes ago. But she lied. My wife lied. She committed fraud. Yes, and that's terrible, but from the court's perspective, Emma has known you as her father for 4 years. You've been her primary caregiver along with your wife. You've formed a psychological bond. The court won't easily sever that, even if you want to. What if I prove the affair? What if I prove Natalie knew all along? Rebecca leans forward, elbows on the desk. She's trying to be gentle, but I can see the truth in her face before she says it. It might help with custody arrangements. It might help with how the court views her credibility, but it won't get you off the birth certificate. It won't erase your legal obligation to support Emma financially. So I'm trapped. You're in a difficult position. There's a difference. I leave Rebecca's office with a stack of papers and a retainer agreement for $15,000. I don't have $15,000. I have a mortgage, car payments, credit cards that Natalie apparently maxed out on hotel rooms while I was deployed. I sit in my car in the parking garage. 3rd level. Concrete pillars. The sound of cars echoing off the walls. I text Natalie. We need to talk about custody. She texts back immediately. You walk away from Emma. Everyone will know you abandoned your daughter. Not our daughter. Your daughter. She knows exactly what she's doing. That night, Emma asked me to read her favorite book. It's about a mouse who wants to be brave. She curls up next to me on her bed, and she's holding Mr. Trunk, the stuffed elephant I bought her the day we brought her home from the hospital. His left ear is darker than the right because she sucks on it when she's nervous. Daddy, are you okay? 4 years old. She shouldn't have to ask that question. I'm okay, sweetheart. Mommy says you might go away. The air leaves my lungs. What? She said sometimes daddies go away. Are you going away? I close the book. I pull her close. She's so small. Her head fits under my chin. She smells like the lavender soap we use at bath time. I'm not going anywhere, I tell her. But even as I say it, I don't know if it's true. Natalie is waiting for me downstairs. She's at the kitchen table with her laptop open. When I walk in, she turns the screen toward me. It's a child support calculator, official state website. Based on your income, she says, you'll owe me approximately $2,200 per month. For a child that isn't mine. For Emma, who you signed for, who you claimed as your dependent on your taxes for 4 years. She's been planning this. That's what hits me. She's been planning this for weeks, maybe months. The timing of the DNA test, the envelope, the birthday party reveal, all of it calculated. I talked to a lawyer. I say. So did I. She closes the laptop. Mine says you don't have a case. You want to know why? I don't answer. Because you bonded with her. Because you played daddy for 4 years. Because the minute you signed that birth certificate, you became legally responsible. That's how it works, Marcus. You lied to me. And you believe me. That's not illegal. She stands up, walks past me toward the stairs. At the doorway, she stops. You don't get to choose when it's real. You made it real when you signed those papers. I'm alone in the kitchen. The calculator is still on her laptop screen. $2,200 per month for 18 years. That's $475,000 for a child who isn't mine. For a lie. My phone buzzes. It's a recording I started making during our conversation. Legal in our state. One-party consent. I hit stop. I have Natalie on tape threatening to destroy my reputation if I try to leave. It's not much, but it's something. That night, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about Emma's question, are you going away? I keep thinking about Natalie's words. You don't get to choose when it's real. And I keep thinking about that pink envelope with one word written on it. Finally. She said, you walk away from Emma, everyone will know you abandoned your daughter. 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in a child therapist's office, Dr. Pamela Reeves. She specializes in children of divorce, family transitions, developmental trauma. Her office has soft lighting and toys and bins and a box of tissues on every surface. Emma is in the waiting room with Natalie's mother, coloring. I can see her through the window in the door. She's using the purple crayon, always purple. Dr. Reeves has Emma's file open. I've been seeing her twice a week since you and your wife separated, 2 months now. How is she? Confused, anxious. She asks about you constantly. Dr. Reeves opens a folder and pulls out a piece of paper. She drew this last week. It's a family portrait, standard kid stuff, stick figures, a house with a triangle roof, a sun in the corner. But when I look closer, I see the details. There are 3 people, me, Emma, and Natalie. I'm on the left side of the paper. Natalie is on the right. Emma is in the middle, but she drew herself smaller than either of us, like she's shrinking, and my stick figure is crying. She put tears on my face. I asked her about that. Dr. Reeves says, she told me because grown-ups cry on the inside. 4 years old. She shouldn't know that yet. Marcus, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Okay. Are you planning to maintain a relationship with Emma after the divorce? The question sits between us like a third person in the room. I look at that drawing again, the purple crayon, the careful way she drew my hand, reaching toward her hand, not quite touching. Yes, I'm fighting for custody, visitation at minimum, even though she's not biologically yours. She's my daughter. Biology doesn't change 4 years. Dr. Reeves closes the folder. She's quiet for a moment, choosing her words. The courts will see this as a positive factor. Your willingness to maintain the relationship despite the circumstances. But I need you to understand something. What? Emma is going to need consistency. Whatever you decide, stay or leave, you need to commit to it. Children this age can't handle uncertainty. They need to know who their people are. I am her people. Then make sure the court knows that. I leave the appointment and find Emma in the waiting room. She's drawn another picture. This one is just the 2 of us. We're holding hands and there are hearts floating above our heads. Is this for me? I ask. She nods, hands it to me carefully like it's fragile. Don't lose it, okay, Daddy? I won't, I promise. That drawing is in my wallet now. I look at it every day. Drop a heart if you believe kids deserve better than being used as weapons in adult wars. The following week, everything falls apart financially. I'm sitting at my kitchen table with bills spread out like a losing hand of cards. Mortgage past due. Car payment past due. Credit cards maxed out. Rebecca's retainer unpaid. I applied for a loan. Personal loan, $15,000 to pay the attorney. The bank sent me a letter, actual physical mail, like they wanted me to have a document I could hold while my life collapsed. Application denied. Reason, insufficient credit score. I checked my credit report. Natalie maxed out our joint cards. All of them. $43,000 in charges. Hotels, yes. But also cash advances, balance transfers, things I never authorized. The affair wasn't just an emotional betrayal. She was bleeding our finances dry the entire time. I call my landlord. We're renting now. I moved out of the house, let Natalie and Emma stay. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Now I'm behind on rent. $800 past due, about to be $1,600. Mr. Preston, I'm sympathetic to your situation, but I have a mortgage to pay on this property. I need the rent by Friday or I'm filing for eviction. Friday, 3 days away. I check my bank account, $317. I get paid in 6 days, but my paycheck is already allocated. Car payment, child support advance that Natalie demanded, groceries. There's nothing left. I had $300 to my name and a court date in 2 weeks. I call my parents. They're in Florida, retired, living on a fixed income. My father answers on the third ring. Marcus, everything okay? I tell him everything. The DNA test, the affair, the legal bills, the debt. I hear him breathing on the other end, processing. How much do you need? $15,000 for the lawyer, another $2,000 to get current on bills. Silence, long silence. Son, we don't have that kind of money. I know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. We can send you $2,000. That's everything in our emergency fund. But Marcus, that's it. That's all we have. I'm 34 years old and I'm taking my parents' emergency fund. I should be helping them, not the other way around. That night, I return Emma's birthday presents. The ones I bought before I knew, before the DNA test. A bicycle with training wheels, a dollhouse with furniture, a complete set of dress-up princess costumes. The store gives me store credit, not cash. $214 in store credit for toys my daughter will never receive. Emma never asked why her presents disappeared. She never mentioned them at all. That somehow makes it worse. I'm working extra shifts, weekends, holidays. I do IT support, network infrastructure. I pick up freelance jobs fixing computers, setting up home offices, anything that pays. At work, people know. Word spread fast. Small company, everybody knows everybody's business. I can feel them watching me, wondering if it's true. If I really abandon my kid, if I'm the kind of man who walks away, nobody asks me directly. They just pull back. Invitations stop. Lunch groups get quiet when I approach. I'm a pariah, and I haven't even done anything wrong. The forensic accountant sends me her report. It cost $1,200 I didn't have, but it shows everything, every hotel charge, every dinner, every pattern. She highlighted the most damning detail. The charges always came in pairs. 2 entrees, 2 drinks, 2 room service breakfasts. For 6 months, while I was deployed and then working 70-hour weeks to pay down our debt, Natalie was spending my money on an affair. Not the wedding vows, not the birth certificate, not even biology. 3 weeks after I moved out, my phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer. Marcus Preston? Yes? My name is James Chen. I'm a private investigator. Rebecca Stone hired me to look into your wife's affair. I sit down. Okay. I found him, the biological father. His name is Scott Halloway, 36 years old, lives in Chicago, works in finance. And Marcus, he's married. The world tilts. He's married. Has been for 8 years. His wife's name is Jennifer. They have 1 child together, a son, age 3. She's currently 8 months pregnant with their second. I'm doing math again. Horrible math. So when Emma was conceived, Scott was married, had been for 4 years at that point. I can't breathe properly. Does his wife know? I don't think so. I've been surveilling them for a week. Normal suburban life, soccer practice, grocery shopping, no indication she has any idea. What about Scott? Does he know about Emma? James pauses. I think he does. I found text messages between him and your wife from 2 years ago. He knows. He just chose not to be involved. The PI sends me his report, 83 pages, photos, text message, transcripts, hotel receipts with both names on them. Sometimes they didn't even try to hide it. Timeline analysis, credit card forensics. The text messages are the worst. 247 messages over 6 months. A tech expert recovered them from Natalie's old phone, the one she lost right around the time Emma was born. I read them all. It takes me 5 hours. I read every single one. November 8th, 2020, 11:47 p.m. Natalie, he doesn't suspect anything. He thinks I'm at a conference. Scott, what did you tell him? Natalie, Chicago, Pharma Sales Summit. He believed it immediately. Scott, when are you going to tell him? Natalie, tell him what? Scott, about us. Natalie, there is no us. Scott, we talked about this. December 3rd, 2020, 2:14 a.m. Natalie, I'm pregnant. Scott, are you sure? Natalie, 3 tests, all positive. Scott, is it mine? Natalie, it's mine. That's all that matters. December 15th, 2020, 9:32 p.m. Scott, have you thought about what we discussed? Natalie, I'm not leaving Marcus. I told you that from the beginning. Scott, but the baby... Natalie, we'll have a father. Marcus will never know. Scott, that's not right. Natalie, you're married. You have a kid. You don't get to talk to me about what's right. Reading them felt like swallowing glass. But here's the thing that made me actually sick. There were messages from after Emma was born, after I signed the birth certificate, after I stayed up all night with her while she cried with colic, after I changed diapers and learned how to braid hair and read the same bedtime story 300 times. March 2021, 10:17 p.m. Natalie, she has your eyes. Scott, don't. Natalie, I'm just saying. Scott, I can't be her father. You know that. Natalie, I'm not asking you to be. But don't you want to know her? Scott, I have a family. Natalie, so does she. Scott Halloway knew. He knew about Emma. He knew I was raising his daughter, and he chose to stay silent. Lies need everyone's silence. Scott's wife had no idea he'd fathered a child with my wife. I had to tell her, I know that sounds crazy. Rebecca advised against it. It's not your responsibility, she said. It could complicate the case. But I couldn't not tell her. She was 8 months pregnant. She deserved to know who she was married to. I found her on Facebook, Jennifer Halloway. Profile picture of her and Scott at a beach somewhere smiling. Cover photo of their son on a swing set. Normal life. Happy family. Built on the same lies as mine. I sent her a message, kept it simple. Mrs. Halloway, my name is Marcus Preston. I don't know how to say this gently, so I'm just going to say it. Your husband fathered a child with my wife in 2020. I have DNA evidence. I have text messages. I'm not trying to cause problems, but I thought you should know. I'm sorry. She didn't respond for 3 days. Then, can we meet? We met at a coffee shop in Chicago, neutral territory. I drove 3 hours. She was sitting in the back corner when I arrived, hands wrapped around a coffee cup, pregnant belly pressed against the table edge. I brought everything, the PI report, the DNA results, the text messages. I spread them across the table like I did with Rebecca, evidence of betrayal. Jennifer read for 20 minutes, didn't say a word, just read. Finally, she looked up. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. Not yet. Did you know? She asked. Before the DNA test, did you know? I suspected. The timeline didn't make sense, but I wanted to believe her. I never suspected, not once. She put her hand on her pregnant belly. We're having a daughter, due in 3 weeks. I'm sorry. Don't be. She pushed the papers back toward me. You didn't do this, they did. We sat there for a while, two strangers connected by the same betrayal. Finally, she said, we're both victims of the same people. Then she cried, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears running down her face. while she kept her hand on her belly, protecting the daughter who was about to be born into this mess. She cried for 20 minutes. I sat there feeling helpless while a woman I'd never met before wept over the wreckage my wife and her husband had created. When she could speak again, she said, "What are you going to do?" "I'm taking it to court, fighting to get the truth on record." "Will it work?" "I don't know. My lawyer says the law is against me, but I have to try." Jennifer nodded, wiped her eyes. "I'm going to divorce him. After the baby comes, I can't do this." "I understand." "Marcus?" She looked at me directly. "Thank you for telling me. Most people wouldn't have." I left that coffee shop feeling worse than when I arrived. Natalie and Scott hadn't just destroyed 2 marriages. They'd destroyed 2 families. Jennifer's children would grow up with divorced parents. Emma would grow up knowing her father wasn't her father, all because 2 people decided their desires mattered more than everyone else's lives. Back home, things continued to deteriorate. Emma scored her first goal in soccer. I wasn't there to see it. Natalie sent me a photo, Emma holding a small trophy, grinning. But when I called to congratulate her, she was quiet. "Did you see it, Daddy?" "I saw the picture, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you." "But you weren't there." "I know. I'm sorry." She kept that trophy in her room, but wouldn't let anyone talk about it. Dr. Reeves told me later that Emma told her, "Trophies are supposed to make you happy, but mine just makes me sad." I had to resign from coaching her soccer team. I'd volunteered at the beginning of the season, before everything fell apart. But 3 weeks after I moved out, I got an email from the league coordinator. "Marcus, we've received a complaint from one of the parents. They're uncomfortable with you coaching given your family situation. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to ask you to step down." Family situation. Like I was the one who had an affair. Like I was the one who lied. I found out later what happened. Natalie had posted on Facebook, carefully worded, plausible deniability. But the message was clear. Going through a difficult time as Emma's father has decided to step away from our family. Heartbroken for my daughter who doesn't understand why Daddy doesn't want to be around anymore. Please keep us in your thoughts. 247 likes, 93 comments, all of them supporting her, calling me terrible names. One person wrote, "Men who abandon their children are the lowest form of human." I wasn't allowed to respond. Rebecca said anything I posted could be used against me in court, so I just watched. Watched people I'd known for years, neighbors, colleagues, parents from Emma's preschool, call me a deadbeat, an abandoner, a coward. They made me resign from coaching because one parent said, "We can't have someone who abandons kids near our children." My phone contacts list got smaller. People blocked me, stopped responding to messages. Invitations to neighborhood barbecues stopped coming. When I ran into people at the grocery store, they'd look away, pretend they didn't see me. I was being erased from my own community. At work, it got worse. My boss called me into his office. "Marcus, I need to talk to you about your performance." "My performance?" "You've been distracted, missing deadlines. The Thompson project was 3 days late. I've been dealing with... I understand you have personal issues, but they can't affect your work." He slid a paper across the desk. "This is a formal warning. If your performance doesn't improve in 30 days, we'll have to reconsider your position." I took the paper, read it. All the language was there. Failure to meet expectations, declined quality of work, negative impact on team morale, negative impact on team morale because people heard rumors and decided I was guilty. That night I sat in my apartment, 1 bedroom, what, $100 a month, bare walls because I couldn't afford furniture, and I made a decision. If the truth wasn't enough to save me, maybe the volume of truth would be. I called Rebecca. I want to compile everything, every piece of evidence, every receipt, every text, every photo. I want to build a case so airtight they can't ignore it. "Marcus, we already have substantial..." No, I want overwhelming. I want undeniable. I want the judge to look at this and have no choice but to see the truth. That's going to be expensive. Forensic accountants, tech experts, private investigator. I don't care. I'll work extra shifts. I'll sell everything I own, but I'm not rolling over, not anymore. Rebecca was quiet for a moment. Okay, let's build your mountain. Over the next 6 weeks, we assembled evidence like we were preparing for a federal trial. The forensic accountant analyzed every bank statement from the last 5 years. She created a timeline poster board, red marks for Natalie's business trips, blue marks for hotel charges, green marks for my deployment dates. The conception window for Emma was highlighted in yellow. I wasn't in the country. I was 900 miles away. The tech expert recovered not just the text messages, but deleted photos. Screenshots of conversations Natalie thought she'd erased. Voice memos. Everything stored in cloud backups she didn't know existed. The private investigator got sworn statements from hotel staff, surveillance footage from 2 years ago showing Natalie and Scott checking in together, credit card receipts with both their signatures. We found 47 hotel stays over 6 months, always the same Marriott chain. When they could request it, room 6-14. The timeline didn't just suggest an affair, it proved it, documented it, left no room for interpretation. I created a master document, 117 pages, every piece of evidence cross-referenced, every charge matched to a date, every text message numbered and cataloged. Rebecca reviewed it for 2 days straight. When she finally called me, she sounded tired. Marcus, this is the most documented case of paternity fraud I've ever seen. Good. And we still might lose. The words hung in the air. All this work, all this money I didn't have, all these nights combing through bank statements and text messages and photos that made me sick to look at. And we still might lose. Then we'll appeal, I said. Marcus, I'm not stopping. Not until everyone knows the truth. If you believe truth should matter in court, comment justice below, because sometimes the system needs to be reminded why it exists. But Natalie wasn't sitting idle. She was building her own case. 2 weeks before our court date, I got served with new papers, not from Natalie's original lawyer. She'd upgraded. Hired Daniel Rothman, one of the most aggressive divorce attorneys in the state. The kind who doesn't just win cases, he destroys the opposition. The papers were thick, a counter petition for full custody, a restraining order request, and an affidavit, Natalie's sworn statement to the court. I read it in my car in the parking lot of my apartment. Every paragraph made me angrier. Marcus Preston knew from the beginning that Emma might not be his biological child. He expressed doubts during my pregnancy, but chose to sign the birth certificate anyway. Now that he wants out of the marriage, he's using this DNA test as an excuse to abandon his daughter and avoid financial responsibility. I read it again, then again. She was claiming I knew, that I'd always known, that this was all my plan to escape child support. Mr. Preston has shown a pattern of emotional unavailability and anger issues. Emma has expressed fear of her father's temper. I believe his current claims are motivated solely by a desire to hurt me, regardless of the damage it causes our daughter. Anger issues, fear. None of it was true, but it was in a sworn affidavit, signed under penalty of perjury. The lies were getting bigger. I called Rebecca immediately. She's claiming I knew, that I had doubts during the pregnancy. Do you have anything that contradicts that? I have everything that contradicts that. Emails where I'm excited about the baby, text messages planning the nursery. I took a paternity leave from work. Why would I do that if I knew she wasn't mine? Get me everything. Every email, every text, every document that shows your belief that Emma was your biological child. I spent the weekend compiling evidence of my own ignorance, Emails to my parents. We're finally pregnant. I can't believe it. Photos of me painting the nursery, the birth announcement I designed and sent to 50 people. My application for paternity leave, all of it proving I believed. I believed in my marriage. I believed in my daughter. I believed the lie. But Natalie wasn't done. Her lawyer produced evidence, too. Emails that looked like mine, but weren't. The metadata showed they were created 3 days ago, but they were formatted to look like they'd been written 5 years ago. One claimed I wrote, "I don't care whose kid she is. A baby is a baby." I never wrote that. Those words never came from my mouth or my keyboard. But there it was, in a legal document being submitted to a court. Her lawyer filed declarations from witnesses too. Natalie's mother. Marcus always seemed distant with Emma, like he was going through the motions. Natalie's sister. He told me once that he had doubts. I thought he was joking, but maybe he wasn't. Her best friend. Natalie confided in me that Marcus had concerns about the pregnancy timeline. She was devastated that he didn't trust her. 3 people willing to lie under oath. 3 people willing to sacrifice the truth to protect Natalie. Her lawyer claimed I'd known Emma wasn't mine all along and only cared now because I wanted out of the marriage. The court date was in 5 days. I sat in Rebecca's office going over strategy. She had the evidence binders ready, 3 thick volumes indexed and cross-referenced. We had our witnesses, Jennifer Halloway, who'd agreed to testify about Scott's admission, the forensic accountant, the tech expert, the private investigator. "The judge is Marianne Caldwell," Rebecca said. 20 years on the bench, family law specialist. She's fair but conservative. She prioritizes the child's well-being above everything else. So she'll rule against me. Not necessarily. If we can show that maintaining the current situation is built on fraud, that Emma deserves to know the truth, that Scott should be held accountable, we have a chance. A chance. After all this, a chance. What about Natalie's evidence, the fake emails? I have a digital forensics expert ready to testify about the metadata. We can prove they were fabricated. And her witnesses. We'll cross-examine. I've already found contradictions in their statements. Rebecca looked at me across her desk. "Marcus, I need you to understand something. Even if we win, even if the judge releases you from legal paternity, that doesn't change your relationship with Emma. You'll still be her psychological father. The question is whether you want to maintain that relationship voluntarily or be forced to maintain it legally." "I want to maintain it. Always have." "Then we need to make that clear to the judge. This isn't about abandoning Emma. It's about establishing truth and making sure the person who's actually responsible, Scott, is held accountable." I looked at the evidence binders, my entire life reduced to 3 volumes of proof. "What are our chances?" Rebecca was quiet, finally. 50-50, could go either way. Those odds weren't good enough. But they were all I had. The night before court, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Emma, about the drawing in my wallet, about her asking if I was going away. I kept thinking about Natalie's Facebook post. The 247 people who believed her story instead of asking for mine. I kept thinking about Scott Halloway, who knew he had a daughter and chose to pretend she didn't exist. And I kept thinking about that phrase. The one that started all this. You don't get to choose when it's real. But maybe I did. Maybe we all did. Maybe reality wasn't about biology or paperwork or legal presumptions. Maybe it was about choice, about showing up, about loving someone even when the system gave you permission to walk away. I was about to find out. The courtroom is smaller than I expected. No jury box, no dramatic wood paneling like on TV. Just beige walls, fluorescent lights, and rows of benches that look like they came from a church in the 1970s. Judge Marianne Caldwell sits at the bench. She's in her 60s, gray hair in a neat bun, reading glasses perched on her nose. She has a reputation for being thorough, fair, and completely intolerant of lies. Natalie sits at the plaintiff's table with Daniel Rothman, her attorney. He's in an expensive suit, probably cost more than my monthly rent. She's wearing a conservative dress, hair pulled back, makeup minimal. She looks like a concerned mother, a victim. I'm at the defense table with Rebecca. We have 3 evidence binders stacked between us. Behind me in the gallery, Jennifer Halloway sits in the back row. 8.5 months pregnant now, she came to testify, to tell the truth. The judge looks up from her notes. This is case number 2024 FM 8847, Preston versus Preston, matter of paternity and child support obligation. Her voice is neutral, clinical, like she's seen 1,000 cases exactly like this one. Mr. Rothman, you may proceed. Natalie's lawyer stands. He's smooth, confident. He's done this before. Your Honor, this is a straightforward case. Mr. Preston signed the birth certificate. He acted as father to this child for 4 years. He established a psychological bond. Now, simply because his marriage has failed, he seeks to abandon his legal and moral obligations to a child who knows no other father. He makes it sound reasonable, logical, like I'm the villain. Mr. Preston's recent DNA test is irrelevant to his legal status. He is and will remain the presumed father under state law. We're asking the court to enforce his child support obligation and grant my client primary custody. The judge makes notes, doesn't react. Ms. Gristone? Rebecca stands. She's calm, steady. Your Honor, this case is about fraud. Deliberate, calculated fraud spanning 5 years. Mr. Preston didn't simply discover he's not the biological father. He discovered his wife had been lying to him from the moment of conception. We have evidence proving Mrs. Preston conducted a 6-month affair while Mr. Preston was deployed. We have evidence she knew all along who the biological father was. And we have evidence she attempted to cover up this fraud when confronted. She gestures to our evidence binders. With the court's permission, we'd like to present our evidence systematically. Judge Caldwell nods. Proceed. Rebecca opens the first binder. Your Honor, I'd like to enter Exhibit A, the DNA test results. She hands copies to the judge and to Rothman. I can see them from my seat, those same 3 pages with the bar graphs and the highlighted conclusion. As you can see, Your Honor, the test shows 0% probability that Mr. Preston is Emma's biological father. Objection, Rothman says. Relevance. Biological paternity is not dispositive in cases where presumed paternity has been established. Overruled. I'll allow the evidence. Judge Caldwell studies the report. Continue, Ms. Stone. Rebecca pulls out the next document. Exhibit B, the pink envelope Mrs. Preston gave Mr. Preston on the day he received the DNA results. She holds it up. That pale pink stationery with Natalie's handwriting, the word finally visible even from where I'm sitting. Mrs. Preston had received her own copy of the DNA results 6 weeks earlier. She waited until their daughter's 4th birthday party with 25 guests present to confront Mr. Preston with this envelope. The word finally suggests this was not a surprise to her, but rather the conclusion of a planned deception. Rothman stands. Your Honor, we dispute the characterization. Mr. Rothman, you'll have your chance for rebuttal. Sit down. He sits. Rebecca continues through the evidence. The timeline poster board showing my deployment dates versus Emma's conception window. The hotel receipts, 47 stays, room 614 whenever possible. The credit card statements showing charges for 2 people. Your Honor, while Mr. Preston was serving overseas, Mrs. Preston spent over $43,000 on hotel rooms, dinners, and entertainment, all charged to their joint credit cards, all related to an affair with a man named Scott Halloway. She enters the text messages, all 1,247 of them. She doesn't read them all, just the key ones. The ones where Natalie confirms the pregnancy. The ones where she tells Scott she'll never tell Marcus the truth. The ones where she describes her plan to pass Emma off as mine. The courtroom is silent except for Rebecca's voice reading those texts. Cold, clinical, letting the words speak for themselves. Judge Caldwell listens without expression, but I see her make notes. Lots of notes. Exhibit H, Rebecca says. A sworn statement from Jennifer Halloway, wife of Scott Halloway, the biological father. She nods to Jennifer in the gallery. Mrs. Halloway has agreed to testify today, despite being 8.5 months pregnant, because she believes the truth matters more than protecting her husband's reputation. Call your witness, the judge says. Jennifer walks to the witness stand. She's nervous. Her hands shake as she's sworn in. But when she speaks, her voice is clear. Mrs. Halloway, Rebecca begins, when did you learn that your husband had fathered a child with Natalie Preston? 3 months ago, Marcus contacted me and showed me the evidence. Had you suspected your husband was having an affair? No, never. Has your husband admitted to being Emma's biological father? Jennifer looks at Scott, who's sitting in the back row. His face is pale. His wife, his current pregnant wife, is about to tell a courtroom that he's a liar and a cheat. Yes. After Marcus showed me the evidence, I confronted Scott. He admitted everything. The affair, the pregnancy. He said he'd known about Emma for 4 years and chose not to be involved because he already had a family. Her voice breaks on those last words, but she continues. He told me Natalie promised she'd never tell anyone, that Marcus would never know. He thought he was safe. Thank you, Mrs. Halloway. Rebecca turns to the judge. Your Honor, we're asking the court to subpoena Scott Halloway for testimony and to order a paternity test to establish his legal obligation. Granted, Mr. Halloway. Approach the bench. Scott stands slowly. He looks like he wants to run, but he walks to the witness stand and the bailiff swears him in. Rebecca doesn't waste time. Mr. Halloway, are you the biological father of Emma Rose Preston? He glances at his lawyer. Yes, he brought a lawyer, who nods reluctantly. The judge asks Scott directly, are you this child's biological father? He looked at his wife and whispered, yes. Yes, Scott says quietly. Louder, please, for the record. Yes, I'm her biological father. The admission hits the courtroom like a physical force. I see Natalie flinch. Jennifer starts crying quietly in her seat. His wife, sitting behind him, stands up and walks out. The door closes behind her with a soft click that somehow sounds like a gunshot. Did you know about Emma's existence? Rebecca asks. Yes. For how long? Since before she was born. Natalie told me she was pregnant in December 2020. Did you offer to support the child financially? No. Did you offer to be involved in her life? No. Why not? Scott's jaw tightens. I have a family. I couldn't tell my wife. I made a mistake and I thought if I just stayed quiet it would go away. But it didn't go away. A child was born. A child you fathered. I know. And you let Marcus Preston, a man who was deployed serving his country, raise and support your daughter for 4 years while you remained silent. I know. His voice is barely audible now. I'm sorry. Save your apologies for your wife, Rebecca says. No further questions. Rothman tries to rehabilitate Natalie's case. He calls her to the stand. She swears to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Then she lies. Mrs. Preston, did you inform your husband of your doubts about paternity before Emma was born? Yes, I told Marcus I wasn't sure. He said he didn't care. He wanted to be a father regardless. Rebecca stands immediately. Objection. We have evidence that directly contradicts this testimony. Sustained. Mrs. Preston, I'm warning you now. Perjury is a serious offense. But Natalie doubles down. He knew. He's always known. This DNA test is just his excuse to leave. Rebecca pulls out her laptop, connects it to the courtroom display. Your Honor, I'd like to present Exhibit M, the emails Mr. Rothman submitted as evidence that Mr. Preston knew about the paternity doubts. The emails appear on screen. They look authentic, but Rebecca pulls up the metadata, digital fingerprints that show when a file was really created. As you can see, Your Honor, these emails were created on March 15th, 2025, 3 days before they were submitted to this court. The original send dates have been manually changed to appear as if they're from 2020. She displays the forensic analysis side by side, the fake timestamps versus the real creation dates. This is fabricated evidence, Your Honor. Mrs. Preston and her attorney have submitted forged documents to this court. Rothman goes pale. Your Honor, I had no knowledge. We'll discuss your involvement later, Mr. Rothman. Judge Caldwell looks at Natalie. Mrs. Preston, did you create these emails? Natalie's facade cracks. I was trying to show a state of mind. That's not what I asked. Did you create these emails and backdate them? Silence. Answer the question, Mrs. Preston. Yes. The judge removes her glasses, rubs her eyes. When she looks up again, her expression is cold. I've been on this bench for 20 years. I've seen custody disputes. I've seen acrimonious divorces. I've seen people at their worst, but this... She shakes her head. Mrs. Preston, this is the most egregious case of fraud I've seen in 20 years on the bench. The words hang in the courtroom. Final. Damning. What would you do in my position? I'm about to find out what the judge thinks I should do. Here's what I'm seeing, Judge Caldwell says. She's looking at her notes, but I get the sense she's speaking from memory, from 20 years of cases just like this one. Mr. Preston served his country overseas while his wife conducted an affair. She became pregnant with another man's child during that affair. She deliberately misled Mr. Preston about the pregnancy timeline. She allowed him to sign the birth certificate under false pretenses. She allowed him to bond with a child she knew wasn't biologically his. And when confronted with the truth, she attempted to extort continued support by threatening his reputation. She pauses, looks at Natalie. Mrs. Preston, your behavior has been calculating and cruel. You've used your daughter as a pawn. You've attempted to commit perjury in my courtroom, and you've shown no remorse for the damage you've caused, not just to Mr. Preston, but to your daughter, to Mr. Holloway's family, and to the integrity of this court. Natalie is crying now, but they're angry tears, not sad ones. Judge Caldwell turns to me. Mr. Preston, the court recognizes that you've been the victim of fraud. However, the court must also consider the best interest of the child. Emma knows you as her father. You've bonded with her for 4 years. Severing that relationship entirely would be traumatic for her. My heart sinks. She's going to rule against me. That said, the judge continues, the law cannot compel a man to support a child who is not his when that man was deceived about paternity. To rule otherwise would be to reward fraud and punish honesty. She opens her legal pad, reads from her notes. Therefore, the court rules as follows. First, Mr. Preston is hereby released from all legal obligations related to child support for Emma Rose Preston, effective immediately. Any support he provides going forward will be voluntary. I can't breathe. Rebecca's hand is on my arm, squeezing. Second, Scott Holloway is ordered to submit to a paternity test within 10 days. Upon confirmation of biological paternity, he will be added to Emma's birth certificate as the biological father and will assume full legal and financial responsibility. Scott makes a sound in the back of the courtroom, like he's been punched. Third, regarding custody. Given Mrs. Preston's pattern of deception and her attempt to submit fraudulent evidence to this court, I'm ordering a full custody evaluation. In the interim, Emma will be placed with Mrs. Preston's mother, Karen Mitchell, to ensure a stable environment. Natalie gasps. You can't. She's my daughter. Mrs. Preston, you forfeited the right to claim moral authority when you lied under oath. Sit down. The judge looks at me again. Her expression softens slightly. Mr. Preston, the court cannot force you to maintain a relationship with Emma. Despite the legal fiction created by the birth certificate, you are not her biological father. You have every right to walk away. She pauses. The courtroom is completely silent. Judge Caldwell said, Mr. Preston, you are free to walk away. The court will not compel you. And I said, I'm not walking away. The words come out before I think them through. But they're true. They've always been true. Your Honor, I understand that I'm not Emma's biological father. I understand that legally I have no obligation. But for 4 years, I was her dad. I was the one who got up at 3 a.m. when she had nightmares. I taught her to ride a bike. I read her bedtime stories. I was there. My voice cracks. I don't care. Biology didn't make me her father. Choice did. And I'm choosing to stay in her life, not as a legal obligation, but because I love her. Because she deserves to have people who choose her, not just people who are related to her by blood. The judge is listening. Really listening. I'm asking the court for voluntary visitation rights, not as her legal father, not as someone with a claim, just as someone who loves her and wants to be part of her life. You don't get to choose when it's real, but you do get to choose when it's love. Judge Caldwell nods slowly. Mr. Preston, the court appreciates your willingness to maintain a relationship with Emma despite the circumstances. I'm granting you supervised visitation rights 2 days per week to be coordinated through the custody evaluator. She signs the order. The sound of her pen on paper feels final. This court is adjourned. The gavel comes down. I sit there for a moment, trying to process what just happened. I'm free. Legally free. No child support, no obligation. I can walk away and no one would blame me. But I'm not walking away. Rebecca is packing up the evidence binders. Marcus, you did it. You won. Did I? She looks at me. You got the truth on record. You got Scott held accountable. You got your legal freedom. Yes, you won. But it doesn't feel like winning. It feels like surviving. I turn around. Jennifer is still in the gallery, wiping her eyes. I walk over to her. Thank you for testifying. I'm sorry, she says, for what he did, for what they both did. It's not your fault. I know, but I'm still sorry. She stands, carefully, one hand on her pregnant belly. I'm filing for divorce next week, after the baby comes. I'm sorry. Don't be. You saved me from wasting more years on a lie. She reaches out, squeezes my hand. Take care of yourself, Marcus, and take care of Emma. She's lucky to have you, even if she doesn't understand that yet. I watch her leave. Another casualty of Natalie and Scott's choices. Behind me, Natalie is arguing with her lawyer. I can hear fragments. Appeal this. Not fair. My daughter. But she's not arguing for Emma. She's arguing for control. For the narrative, for the ability to keep playing victim. I walk out of the courthouse into bright sunshine. It's March. The trees are starting to bud, life continuing despite everything. My phone buzzes. A text from Emma's grandmother, Karen. Can you come by tomorrow? Emma wants to see you. I text back, yes. What time? 10 a.m.? We'll be at the park. I'll be there. 18 months later. The park is busy for a Saturday morning. Kids on swings, parents pushing strollers, dogs chasing tennis balls, normal life. The kind I wasn't sure I'd get back. I'm sitting on a bench near the playground. Emma is on the monkey bars. She's 5.5 now, taller, more confident. She can cross the entire bar without help. Last year, she could barely reach the first rung. She's wearing a purple jacket. Always purple. Karen sits beside me. Natalie's mother became Emma's primary guardian after the custody evaluation. Natalie gets supervised visitation twice a month. I get unsupervised visitation every Wednesday and Saturday. Shared custody, except none of us are her legal parents anymore. Scott is, on paper, but he's never visited, never called. He pays child support because a judge ordered it, but that's the extent of his involvement. His wife, Jennifer, had her baby, a girl named Sophie. She sends me Christmas cards, we talk occasionally, two people connected by the wreckage left by others. She's doing better, Karen says, watching Emma play. The therapy is helping. That's good. She still asks about Natalie. That's natural. She asks about you more. Karen looks at me. She wants to know why you keep coming back. What do you tell her? That you love her. That family isn't just about biology. Emma spots us and waves, runs over, out of breath, grinning. Marcus, did you see? I made it all the way across. She calls me Marcus now, not Daddy. That hurt at first. It felt like losing her all over again. But Dr. Reeves explained it's healthy. It's her way of understanding the truth without losing the relationship. I saw. That was amazing. Can we fly the kite? You promised. I pull out the kite from my backpack. It's purple, obviously, with butterflies. I bought it last week specifically for today. We walk to the open field. I help her hold the string while the kite catches wind. It lifts, wobbles, then soars. Emma laughs, that pure, unself-conscious laugh that kids do when something delights them completely. Let me hold it, she says. I hand her the string, show her how to give it slack and pull it tight to keep the kite stable. Her small hands wrapped around the string, tongue poking out in concentration. I'm doing it. You are. She looks up at me. The wind is blowing her hair around her face. She's squinting against the sun. Marcus? Yes, sweetheart. Are you my real dad? The question hangs in the air like the kite. I knew it was coming. Dr. Reeves warned me she'd ask eventually. I crouched down so we're eye level. You know I'm not your biological father, right? We talked about that. I know, but are you my real dad? I told her the truth, the whole truth, for the first time. I'm not your biological father, I say carefully. You have a biological father named Scott, but I'm someone who chose to be in your life, someone who loves you, someone who wants to be here for you, for soccer games and birthday parties and flying kites. But what should I call you? What do you want to call me? She thinks about this. Can I call you both? Both what? Marcus when we're just us, and Dad when I'm telling people about you. My throat tightens. Yeah, you can call me both. Okay. She turns back to the kite, adjusting the string. Dad, can we get ice cream after this? Absolutely. She grins and runs ahead, the kite string trailing behind her. I follow, watching her navigate the field with growing confidence. Karen is back at the bench watching us. She's crying a little. Happy tears, I think, or maybe relieved tears, maybe both. My phone buzzes, a text from Rebecca. How's it going? I text back, good, really good. You did the right thing, she writes, staying. I know, and I do know. This isn't the life I planned. Emma isn't my biological daughter. I'm not her legal guardian. On paper, I'm nothing to her. But I'm here. I show up, I fly kites and help with homework and listen when she talks about her day. I'm not her father because of biology or law or obligation. I'm her father because I choose to be. Love doesn't need biology. It doesn't need a certificate. It just needs truth. Emma is calling me now, the kite caught in a tree branch, laughing because it's funny, not scary. I jog over to help. She's already trying to shake the branch, fearless in the way kids are when they know someone's there to catch them if they fall. I reach up, untangle the string, release the kite back into the sky. She catches the string, and the kite climbs again, purple against blue, butterflies dancing in the wind. She looks at me and grins. Thanks, Dad. Anytime, sweetheart. We walk back to the bench together. Her hand slips into mine without her thinking about it. Small fingers wrapped around mine, the kite bobbing above us, the sun warm on our faces. This is what love looks like. Not a birth certificate, Not a DNA test, not a courtroom ruling, just a hand in mine and a kite in the sky and a kid who chose me back. If you have a story about chosen family, about the people who showed up when they didn't have to, share it below, because those are the stories that matter. Those are the relationships that last. I told you my story about fighting for truth and finding love on the other side, about learning that family isn't about who you're born to. It's about who chooses to stay. Emma makes a new card for me last week. Construction paper, glitter glue, the same careful attention to detail. This one says, Best Marcus Ever. I keep it on my refrigerator next to the old one, Best Daddy Ever, because both are true. Both versions of us matter. The truth didn't need anyone's silence anymore. Natalie lost primary custody. She sees Emma twice a month, supervised. She's in therapy now, court-ordered. Maybe she's learning, maybe she's not. That's not my concern anymore. Scott pays his child support on time. I checked the public records, but he's never met Emma, never asked for visitation, never acknowledged her beyond the checks that get deposited into Karen's account on the first of every month. That's his loss, his choice. Jennifer and I exchanged Christmas cards. She sent me a photo of Sophie last month. She's 1 year old, already walking. Jennifer remarried 6 months ago. A teacher, kind eyes. Someone who showed up when her world was burning and helped her rebuild. We're all rebuilding. The court order framing on my wall says I'm free, released from legal obligation, free to walk away. But it also says I have visitation rights, voluntary, chosen, because a judge recognized that love doesn't fit in legal categories. That pink envelope with finally written on it sits framed next to the court order. Rebecca suggested I throw it away, move on. But I keep it, not as a reminder of pain, but as proof that I survived. That lies eventually fail. That truth wins, maybe not quickly, maybe not easily, but eventually. The sun is starting to set. Emma is tired. You can tell by the way she's leaning against Karen, half asleep. We walk back to the parking lot together. Emma holds my hand on one side, Karen's on the other. A strange little family assembled from wreckage. Same time next week? Karen asks. Same time, I confirm. Emma hugs me goodbye. Full body hug, the kind that kids give when they mean it. Love you, Marcus. Love you too, Emma. I watch them drive away. Then I get in my own car and sit for a moment in the silence. The park is emptying out. Families heading home for dinner. Kids tired and happy. I rebuilt my life. Got promoted at work. Paid off the legal debt. Bought furniture for my apartment. Started dating again. Carefully. Honestly. Telling the truth from the beginning about who I am and what I've been through. Some people can't handle it. That's okay. The ones who stay are the ones who matter. I look at my phone. Emma's drawing is my lock screen now. The purple glitter. The stick figures holding hands. Best Marcus ever. Not biological father, not legal guardian, just Marcus, chosen family. And you know what? That's enough. More than enough. It's everything.